and it is the most common mistake that people make. The first thing, as we have used -d, it creates the container and it gives your terminal back. Now if you refresh, boom, boom, boom. Namaste innovators. How are you? Welcome to my channel, the DevOps Academy. In today's video, we are going to see how to containerize one application from scratch. This will be a React application that we will containerize, we will Dockerize, and we will deploy and we will access. Trust me guys, this will be so much fun. In this video, we will create our first Dockerfile, we will create our first container, and we will see how to access from the internet. Obviously, if we face any kind of issues, I will be recorded it live and you will see the live troubleshooting for that. If you are not aware of Docker, I have already created one video. You can check out that. The video link you can see into the I button as well as into the description box. But just to give you a brief scenario, Docker is a powerful DevOps tools that everyone is crazy about and being practiced into the IT industry into a massive range. What it does, it is a containerization tool. So it gives you a unit or a technology where in a single package you can put the code, you can put the necessary dependencies, the required libraries, and you can make it a Docker file, you can create an image out of it, you can create a container out of it, and it can be run anywhere across the environment. So what are the advantages of using Docker? It is lightweight, it is more secure, it gives you an isolated environment, and moreover you can run it anywhere and everywhere. So please stay tuned till the end of the video, and by the end of this video you will learn how to containerize an application step by step and the core concepts of Docker. So guys, here is our app. This is a weather app made by React, and I am not the owner of this app. You can see the person's GitHub into my screen right now. So the credit, all the due credit, and huge shout out to the person who have created the app. And also here into my GitHub, I have added his ID, so you can check out his repository. Anyways, so this is a React web app that will help you to know your current city weather. Let's come to the technology side. What it uses? It uses the React.js, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and some API. So if there is no Docker, what's the scenario like? You need to clone the code, you need to open the code into some VS Code or to any of the code editor. Then you need to edit your code, you can create your own thing. After that, you need to run the npm install command to install the necessary dependencies. Then you need to run the npm start command to start it into the development mode. And then you can able to like use the app through the 3000 port. Here you can see the app is running into the 3000 port. And now suppose there are 5 of the environments that you need to run the same code. You need to run it 5 times into every other system, and it not necessary that every system is using the same like having the same dependencies, the same environment, the same React version, the same Node version. It is not necessary, right? I might have some different version that is not compatible, and in that case you will face a huge issue. So to reduce all these things, to mitigate all the issues, here comes the Docker into the picture. As I have already discussed, it helps you to execute the command to run the application irrespective of the background, any of the dependency version. So in this video, gradually you will see how it does with that, right? So for that, now I have created one AWS EC2, a server. There basically we will going to like execute like or everything. From there we will create our Docker file, the Docker image, the Docker container, and we will access the server. Okay. So our first requirement is you need a local machine. So in our case, obviously the laptop I can run, but I prefer more Linux as a local. So I have created one server. If you don't know how to create one EC2, please check out my previous video, and you can take it from anywhere else. All right. So I will connect to the server. So whenever you will be containerizing any of the application, your first step should be to read the readme file. There basically the developer will or should put the required details. So as you can see here, he or she have put the required technologies, the commands that are needed to run the application, to start the application, and which particular port it will be using. So that's the common fundamental things that we need to run the application. Okay. All right. Excellent. Fine. So this is our server. I'll clear the screen. Okay. All right. So what will be our first step? Our first step will be to clone the repository. We need the code into our local, right? So what's the command? Git clone. If you don't know git commands, let me down into the comment section. So I will definitely come out with a video with that. All right. So in Ubuntu, you will get the git package by default. If you're using any of the version like this Amazon Linux or like something, you need to install the git like on your own. Okay. All right. So you'll do ls. You will see one of the folder. The folder is basically our source code. So we'll go to the folder. Now we'll do ls. So you can see the package.json, public, src, all the files are present here. Build, images, everything is present here. Okay. Okay. All right. So, so to Dockerize one application, the first point is you need to create a something called a Docker file. Moreover, we need the Docker application, right, to install into our system. So if I run docker -fn version, what it is showing? Docker command not found. That means in our local, the Docker is not installed. So it is asking us to install the Docker. So we'll install the Docker first. Copy that. Okay, all right. So sudo apt install docker.io. What it is showing? Has no installation candidate. Why it is so? Because don't worry, it is also having a solutions, because our local apt package is not updated. Okay, so our solution would be sudo apt get update. So now it is updating. It is taking everything from the this apt repository, you can say. It is updating. It is updating so many things. Now it is updated. Now if you run the command same, see, it is running. Correct? Why? It is running the Docker. So anytime you will be using the command apt install or apt get install, you must need to update the apt repository. Okay, just mind it. All right. So now if you run the same command docker -fn version, it will give me the Docker version 24.0.7. It always install the latest version. I believe this is the latest version probably. Yeah. All right. So now we have the Docker and we have the our application code. So how to play with that? So our first step would be to create a Docker file. We'll create a Docker file. From Docker file, we will create an image, and from an image, you can create multiple containers. Just remember like that. Write a Docker file, build the image, run containers. Write Docker file, build the image, run container. Okay. So what we will do, we'll create our first Docker file. Okay, so Dockerfile is the blueprint of the Docker commands, the code, everything that will be run. We need to specify into the Docker file. Okay, so and the rule is wherever the code is, it's like a standard practice is to create the Docker file into same particular file path. So in our case, we have the code here, the package.json, the src public, all the things we have here. So we will run our Docker file here only. We will create the Docker file here only. So the syntax is vi d capital docker without space file. This is the exact name that Docker by default will specify and will fetch the name. If you want to give any other name, there is other options that you can give the name, but we will discuss it some other day. So here we'll write a Docker file first. I for the insert. So there are a few components into a Docker file. The first is you need to specify the underlying base image. Okay, like from where it will create the environment. So the command for this is from. Okay, so we'll use the node 16 for this particular app because it is some stable version. I know I have also used that into my recent project, so I know that node 14 or 15 like the other versions have some issues, so node 16 works well. So basically now the code is into your local. You need to have the code into the container, right? As we can see, container is basically a package. There you put the code, dependencies, libraries, and you can package it. So in container also, in the Docker file also, you need to specify the code. So our will use one work directory is the command work dir. There you can specify under which folder the operations will be done. So after this command, any command that we will give will be done inside the app folder. So slash app we will be using. So slash app also is a standard practice that we do follow. You can take it any other folder. So now we have the base image specified. This is called as the base image. Next come the work dir. Inside the which folder the operations will be done. Next, obviously we need to copy the code, right? So the command is very tough. Copy dot space dot. Just seems like a basic English, right? That's actually so much exciting and like easy to learn. I have already said into the past. So here, what does the two dot means? So after copy, first dot means is copy everything. If you want to copy some particular files, you need to mention here. We want to copy everything. Every code that we have like src, build, anything. So dot means everything. And next dot means here. Means the work directory app. As I said, any operations that will be done after this line, it will be inside app. So first dot means first dot represents everything. Second dot represents here into this location slash app. Okay. Now always you need to know which commands you need to run. It's better to go to the readme file. So as you can see here, developer have already told us that you run npm install command first to install the necessary dependencies after you clone or copy the code. So once it's done, we have done that, we need to run the npm install. So how to run the command? Very tough command. We need to remember highly. Very tough. run. Run. Man, DevOps is so easy, trust me. npm install. It will install. You just order him. Boss, run this. Why run this? Run this. It will do it. Next. Our next step would be, suppose this application will run. This application will also be started. Now, which port we need to access that? Developers already specified that localhost 3000. In 3000 port, our application will run. So each app that you will run will have some port. You need to take it the info from the developer or from the readme file. If you are like taking it from any of the open source, the port number should be exposed, because Docker by default is very secure. It like reject every port. You need to explicitly mention that by this port you open, so that I can access my application. So this port it will expose. So expose which port? 3000. Obviously our app demands that if your app is running on 9000, you will expose 9000. If your app running on 10169, like you will expose the same. So it depends on the application that you will be running. So for our case it is 3000 port. Now everything we have given the base image, we have giving the working directory, we have copied the code, we have run the installation dependencies commands, we have exposed the port. Now the container will once be created with all the things. After the container is created, you need to give him some command. You are the master. So what our main goal is to start the application. So you will command the container that start my application. But obviously, as he's some like angry girlfriend who doesn't understand your language at the anger time, so basically you need to specify that also into. Girls, don't get offended, please. So basically you need to mention that the commands here. So already developer written that run npm start command to start the application. So which of the command is there to start any application or to give some command, to give some script? You should not give like run it by the run command. The run command is something, and the command that I am giving you is something to be continuously running. So cmd helps you to continuously run the container with the application command that you will specify. Okay, so here the syntax is bit different. cmd, then we used to call it as third bracket. I don't know what it calls in english. You can specify into my comment section. So third bracket, double quotation. Now here is a simple, I mean very simple syntax that you need to remember, and it will be remembered once you practice 2-3 times. Okay, so the command is npm start. See, I am not doing anything from my own. Everything is written onto the readme file. I am just doing the same, thinking it is a developer. So like that also into the live environment, if you are doing some DevOps job like containerizing an application, you always need to interact with the required developers or the respective developers. Okay, so it is a day-to-day job of our own. Like we need to go to the meetings with them and take the necessary inputs and do like that. Okay, so make the habit of taking the input. Okay, so there is npm start command. So third bracket, double quotation, npm, one word, comma, again double quotation space, after that a double quotation, start, double quotation, finish. So this is a syntax. One word into the double quotation, comma, then again another word after a space into the double quotation. So like that it will be into the cmd section. All right, okay, so we will save it. Now if we will do cat dockerfile, see, you can see this is our Dockerfile. Node 16 it will take. And one thing to add here, one tips from a DevOps engineer. Sometimes even after exposing the port like that, it sometimes doesn't uh, get exposed, or you cannot access the your application. So in that case, what you can try as a solution is that, like from the Dockerfile perspective, you can add the port here as well, like expose 3000 here and here npm start 3000, same with the same syntax. So the small tips that you can try. In some cases, like 10-20% cases it happens, it like get resolved with the same approach. Okay, all right, okay, but now we'll do. So now again, now as I said, what our next step is, we have written the Docker file. Then write Docker file, build image, run container. Okay, so we'll build the image. So to build the image, we need to run a command docker build hyphen t for giving it a tag. Now, if you want to push it to the Docker Hub, you need to give your own username. Like before that, if you don't want, you can ignore that. But I will push this time, so I will use my Docker Hub username. So the username is shitabjo docker. Now I'll give it a slash. Then I will give the name to the application. So name would be my React weather app, or let me remove my because it is not mine. So React weather app, and then colon, any tag you can give, v1 version 2. I will give latest. Okay, and then dot means run the code here. By docker, run the code here. In this location, I have my Docker file. Okay, now there is a catch. As I install Docker, I need to use it with the sudo permission. Now there is also having one alternative, but I will not tell this time. You as a viewer will let me know what's the alternative, by following which I can ignore using sudo. Let me know into my comment section, and I will give the shout out to the correct answer into my next video. Okay, all right, so I will run the command now. All right, excellent. So it is taking from the node 16. As you can see, step 1 from node 16. Legacy builder is depreciated. Install the buildx component to build images with build kit. Okay, this is a legacy. So work director done, copying done, run npm install. Probably it is a legacy, something is there. Okay, all right. Probably I will check how much it took. If it took longer, I will skip the part. That actually, what does kill node works like that. It randomly make the things deprecated. Anyways, awesome. Our Docker image, first Docker image is built, successfully built and tag. Now if we check sudo docker images, see, these are some other images that I've created, but yeah, see node 16 that I having, and I have my Docker image with me. Name, tag, image ID, and size. Now the size is 1.37 GB. In next video, we will learn how to reduce the size, and you will be surprised to know that this size can be taken down into some MBs. In next video, it's my promise, I'll create into this particular topic, that how to reduce the size of a Docker image. Okay, so for now we are excited with our image, and now, as I have told you again, write Dockerfile, build image, run containers. So our next step will be to run the containers. Now I will only have my Docker images list. Okay, and next is sudo docker run. So now I will use few parameters. First one is -d. It helps to run in the detach mode. Okay, so what does the detach mode means, or someone says like as a daemon mode? So it runs in the background. So if you don't use that, it will come into your screen, and if you press Ctrl C, the application will be down as well. It will be exited. So we always try to run it into a detach mode. So like you will have your terminal back basically to run other operations. Okay, so -d. Now we have exposed our port inside the container. So if you go inside the container and have something call command or something, you can access the application. But as I have said, Docker is a secure and uh, isolated environment. you cannot access from the outside because it exposed inside the container, exposed. So to access it from the outside as well, we need to map the port to the outside port also. So in inside, it is exposed to 3000 port. From outside also, there should be some port, it should be mapped. So that from outside, like you can access the application from here, Okay. So generally, if you don't have any requirement specific, you can expose it into the same, like the same port. So this will be the container port 3000, and which port we will map to it? 3000 only from the inside, like I mean from the outside. So our docker run, okay, so I missed the parameter to give here is -p, stands for port mapping. These are the basic parameters that you need to pass once you will run a docker run commands. Okay, now you can give the name or the image id as full or the first few letters, just make sure it is unique, but I will take the full image id for now so it won't be any confusion. Paste, enter, and boom, as we have used -d, it creates the container and it gives you terminal back. All right, all right, excellent, excellent, boom. Now you will see our docker containers. Sudo docker ps, let's check. Okay, it is running. Amazing. This is the container id, this is the image id that is being used. Okay, created up 3000 mapped, and this is some random name it provides. Now what does that mean? If you take the public IP and you run into 3000, let's see. Oh, it is not running. What happened? All my efforts went into vain? No, it's not because of that. Don't get panicked. So what happens is, as container is also a secure, see, site can't be reached. So don't get panic and don't blame myself that I have taught you wrong. Intentionally, I have missed one part to show you that a troubleshooting also. So whenever you will see this kind of thing to run your application, one thing I told you that the expose that you have done there, it should be there correctly. But before that also, the first thing that you should check, and it is the most common mistake that people make, the first thing is the port here that you are accessing should be opened into your security group as well, into inbound rule, that I haven't added to show you guys. Now I'll go to security groups. Okay, just give me one moment to let me understand what of the security group it is using. This is something, the very basic errors that people make, very basic error. Okay, security. So from here also I can edit. So I am using the security group 6. I will open it into another tab. Okay, so here you can see into the inbound rule I have SSH, HTTP and HTTPS added. but not the 3000 port. So by default it is restricted. In security group you need to add the particular port. You need to allow. So I'll go to add rule. Custom TCP is fine. I will go to the port range. You can give any range or you can give any particular port. And here I will go to anywhere. I'll give a description port to access our React app. Alright, I will go to save rules. Awesome, done. Now if you refresh, boom, 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 it is coming the app. I'll from Shiliguri, I'll go to Shiliguri. But actually what is like happening key, as it is only the UI, the backend is not connected yet. So the API's call is not happening. But we have our React weather app deployed successfully. And it is containerized. Remember that. So a huge shout out to you for completing this activity. You have finally written your first Dockerfile, created, built a fast image, and run your Docker container successfully. And you have come one step ahead to become a DevOps engineer. A huge shout out to you. Alright, awesome. So that's all for today. I hope you have learned something new. And if you really enjoyed the video, please do give a thumbs up. And let me know into the comment section that in which topic you want the next of the video. If you really enjoyed the video, don't forget to share with others. And please do subscribe to my channel for more exciting content like this. That's all for today. See you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.